Hello, and welcome back to another 10-minute enterprise. Today we're going to learn how to back up a domain controller, and then we're going to try to restore it, and we'll see what happens. So to start off, we're going to come over here to add roles and features on our domain controller, and we're going to click Next, Next, Next. We're going to click Next again so that we can get down to Features, and we're going to scroll down to where it says Windows Server Backup, and click Next. And install, and we'll give that a minute to install, and then we will continue from there. All right, and it's finished the installation, so we're going to go ahead and click close, and we can go ahead and close this. And if we click on start, we can actually type in let's do just type in backup. Yeah, there we go. Windows Server Backup is installed. And it's going to load this. So currently we have no backups actually in here, so we're going to go ahead and create a new schedule for one. I'm just going to do a one-time backup on this one since this is just a test VM. I'm not worried about it backing up all the time, but I'll show you the settings. There's really no difference between them. It just creates a scheduled task in order for it to continue backing up. All right, and we're going to choose backup once in our case. Normally you'd click on backup schedule, but like I said, the wizards are exactly the same. And we're going to do this is a full server backup, which is recommended. If you want to just back up certain things, you can come over here to custom, and we can click add items, and we can choose bare metal or system state, or whatever we need to here. I've added a drive called backups where I'm going to store this at, and I'll show you why here in a second. For domain controllers though, the most important thing is to make sure you get the system state. Now obviously if we do a full system backup, it's going to back up everything and allow us to do a bare metal recovery as well, but we can do just the system state to save us a little time. Now system state backups in Windows Backup running inside a virtual machine are a little strange. They end up backing up like the entire drive that the Active Directory database is on, instead of just the actual Active Directory files for some reason. But if you're backing up on a physical box, it generally, just like I said, backs up a few gigs worth of data instead of the entire, I think this is 16 gigs worth of data or so, something like that. So you can just choose system state. But what we're going to do is I'm going to go and do a full server and just tell it to back up the whole thing. Now here's where it gets interesting. So you can choose local drives, which are, like I said, I added a drive here, it's called backups. There it is, it's 200 gigs in my case. This is just a drive I added to the virtual machine. It's not a big deal. A lot of customers or people will use USB drives instead, which are fine. I wouldn't leave them connected all the time, and I would make sure that I change them out on a regular basis, because the USB drives tend to cause problems if they're left plugged in for a long time. The USB goes into low powered mode, and when the backup tries to run, the device doesn't always come out of sleep, basically, where it goes into low power mode, and your backup will fail, and you won't ever know about it unless you go searching through your backups. So it's not a good lesson to learn when you're trying to restore because you had a critical failure. So, but local drives is really the best option. If you are trying to back up to iSCSI, like an iSCSI LUN or a fiber channel LUN, those will work too. However, when dealing with iSCSI, if you have to do a bare metal restore, the Windows PE or the Windows recovery environment that you boot off the Windows ISO unit doesn't have support for iSCSI. So you can access an SMB share, but it will not allow you to access an iSCSI target. So keep that in mind. If you're backing up somewhere to a network share like this, that's fine. You can access that during the Windows recovery without any issues, as long as you have the username and password to log into the share with. But if it's an iSCSI LUN hosted on like a NAS or a SAN or something like that, there's no iSCSI support when you try to run the bare metal recovery. So you'll have to install Windows first, configure iSCSI, get connected to it, and then try to restore. So it's a lot more work. Remote shared folders. This is also really easy. If you have a NAS or if you have a file server that just has a bunch of space on it and you want to dump your backups on there, it's a very viable option. There's just one caveat. When you do a remote shared folder backup, it only lets you keep the latest copy of the backup. So every time you do a backup, it does a full backup and shoves it on that share. I'll show you what I mean here in a second. All right. Actually, I'm not doing local. I'm doing local on mine. Okay, here's our drive. Yep, it's going to exclude this volume automatically because that's the one we're selecting to back up to. There's everything we're going to back up, and we're going to click backup, and it's going to run. I'm going to let this get started here, and I will come back when it's done. But basically, it's just going to run, do a VSS snapshot, copy all the data off, make it into a VHD file, and that's what we're going to restore from. One thing to note about the VHD file that it creates, these VHDs are special. You can mount them up into Explorer and actually view the files in there. So if there's a particular file that you don't want to have to run through the backup process, you just want to get access to that file, you can mount the VHD up and actually go find it and pull out the file you need. However, they are not bootable. So if you're trying to recover a virtual machine by copying the VHD file, there's a bit actually in the metadata of the VHD that marks it as a non-bootable VHD. So it's a interesting thing. You would think that Microsoft would want that to actually be something you could do, but I guess they didn't think it was a good idea. So anyway, it's gonna do the backup here. So I'm gonna pause the video and we'll come back shortly. All right, and we're back. And as you can see, the backup process did complete. We've got everything stored in our drive, and that's pretty much it for backing up. Now, if we want to recover, this is a domain controller, obviously, so if we try to recover something like the system state, which should restore Active Directory for us, it's not going to work because Active Directory is currently running. So what we'll have to do is reboot into ASR, the Active Directory Services Restore mode, and log in and actually do the restore there. But what I'm going to do is instead I'm going to show you how to boot the system into the Windows PE recovery and show our backup from there. So give me one sec while I restart this. Press the key to continue, and we're booting from the DVD. All right, and we're greeted with our screen here. We're going to go ahead and click Next and repair your computer. And here we're going to use troubleshoot and system image recovery. Windows Server is the operating system, and it's found our backup drive, it found the computer name, and it found the backup that we took. And we can click Next. Now, this is the latest available system image. If we wanted to choose a different one, if we had a different one, we could choose this and do Next, and it would go through and show us the backups that we could restore from. So if we had multiple, we could come in here and actually choose those. And then you can also look under Advanced here. Again, you can look over the network if you have it stored on an SMB share, or if you need to install a driver for some reason, like a network card driver, to get access to the SMB share, you can also do that if you have it on like a USB key or some type of an image that you could attach to the either virtual machine or to the physical box, either way. All right, so we're going to go ahead and we can start the latest here, and we just click next. Now we can format and repartition the disk, which we're not going to do. You really shouldn't need to do that. The system will basically go through and actually restore the entire volume set, so you shouldn't need to really repartition unless there's a specific reason that you are trying to. If you do end up trying to repartition disk, make sure that you get the disks, repartition them in a larger size. So, and we're just going to click finish, and it says, do you want to continue? And we just hit yes, and off it goes. I'm not going to do it because I actually still just want this DC to run because it's already perfectly fine, but that would be it. You just click yes, it'll go through the entire restore process. When it's done, it'll say, do you want to reboot? Click yes, and it should reboot, and you have your entire operating system back to the state that it was in at that backup. Well guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm going to be making a few more soon. I have another one about troubleshooting Active Directory startup issues, so I'm going to make another video probably in a week or so to get that one up and running. But until then, I guess that's it. Hope you guys enjoy. Please like, subscribe, and comment. You know, if there's anything else that you guys want to see or something you want me to show you how to configure, please leave it below. Have a good one.